Today I want to talk about an issue that's very important in today's society and very prevalent in today's society, and that's gun-free zones and gun laws. I hold that near and dear to my heart, as that's something that's very important to my family and I, and should be very important to everyone in society. For those of you who do not know, a gun-free zone is a designated place that you are not allowed to carry a concealed pistol into. There's what we call a concealed pistol license, and those are for civilians who go through a class and go through a bunch of background checks and apply for a license that allows you to take a pistol and conceal it and bring it into designated areas. Now they have specific areas such as churches, schools, big stadiums, and places of big populations that you are not allowed to take these pistols into, and that your concealed pistol license does not allow you to carry into. This is posing a huge problem, as the majority of the mass shootings taking place in the last several years have taken place in these zones. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about why I believe that gun-free zones should be lifted. I'm not trying to change your opinion if you already have one on gun-free zones and guns, as I know that this is a very, very sensitive subject to a lot of people in society, and I just want to give my side of it and maybe not necessarily persuade you, but give you a different perspective on this issue. Let's go back to earlier this year. Nicholas Cruz committed mass murder at Majority Stone High School in Florida. He walked into the high school at about 2:20 p.m. and with an AR assault rifle and killed 17 people in 9 minutes. That is something that is almost gut-wrenching to hear about, as that's 17 kids that lost their lives. Not only kids, but family members as well. Those of you who are parents, you probably cannot wrap your head around the fact of dropping your kid off at school and then not seeing them when they return home because they were murdered due to someone's negligence. Gun-free zones are the problem, in my opinion. And according from a statistic from crimeresearch.org, from January 1998 to December 2005, 96.2% of mass shootings and shootings have happened within gun-free zones. That is a statistic that is absolutely mind-blowing. Over 90% of any population is huge. Also, in an article written by John Lott, the Aurora, Colorado shooter, James Holmes of 2012, walked into a movie theater who was premiering the Batman movie at the time and shot the theater up, killing 12 people. That was a gun-free zone as well. In his diary, according to John Lott, which was found by the authorities, he specifically stated that he did not choose an airport that was closer to his apartment because of what he said as substantial security. The only place that did not permit guns within a radius of his apartment was that movie theater, and that's what he decided to shoot. I think that goes to show a little bit what goes into the mindset of these people who are going to commit mass murder, and I think that that should give a little bit of perspective to you at this point as to why we should take another look at these zones, these gun-free zones. Some statistics taken from an article written by Sam Morris of The Guardian. Out of the 13 biggest, most influential shootings in the last 19 years since Columbine in 1999, all 13 of them have been within gun-free zones. Now that is another statistic that is absolutely mind-boggling. That truly goes to show that these shooters are taking these gun-free zones and using them as targets. It's almost like hanging a sign above these zones that say, shoot here or commit murder here. You know when you're walking into a gun-free zone because above the entrance of the facility, you will see which shows a gun with a slash through it, and that shows concealed pistol license carriers like myself that you are not allowed to carry in there. The reason that I take this very, very to heart is I can't imagine being someplace with my family, with my beautiful girlfriend who's recording this video, with anybody that I love or anybody that you love, and not being able to protect myself. I'm carrying at this moment, and you would never know, as it's right here on me. But that's besides the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that I believe that we should be able to lift these zones and stop these mass shootings. Out of those places that where the shooters committed, the ones that actually had security were not, the threat was minimized. There was a shooting in Virginia that was minimized due to a security officer in the school who was carrying. There were 2 people dead in that scenario, and one of the ones that was killed was the officer who was armed. And if we don't have those officers in place, for instance at the schools or at these gun-free zone places, then we will be dealing with more casualties. And as that goes to show, for the Virginia shooting, we minimalized the casualties because of these measures that were in place, such as an armed officer. I'm not sitting here trying to sell you on the fact that we should lift these zones completely and allow this wild, wild west narrative where everyone carries guns and we just shoot everywhere, things like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is I think that we should review our gun laws and review these gun-free zones and put measures like armed security guards in schools and armed security guards at stadiums and churches that allows protection for those you love, for those I love, and for those that we all love, so we can further make a difference in stopping these mass shootings that seem to be almost taking over the world at this point. So hopefully this speech today did a little bit of justice and possibly changing your perspective on gun-free zones.